messing around.
Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody.
Hey, Hannah. How are you?
Hello. I'm doing great. I will say this. I have a lot of things in my life that bother me and need improvement. For sure. But the one thing I have, and you also have, is really good skin. That's just genetics. I do have really good skin. And so lo and behold, my horror today, I got a pimple.
Oh, no.
I got a pimple. And I was just like,
Well, you're
you
on
were
your own.
uninvited to my list of issues.
You're on your own now. You're the only one. I'm kidding. You know, I do too. So I'm wearing this pimple patch. You see that? I got
That's
this.
so
This is the
good.
worst
Yours
place. This is the worst place to get it. Here
Yeah.
or like at the tip of your nose. Like that's the worst to get them. Or on your lips. You don't want to get a pimple on your lip.
That's something
That's
else.
That's That's
There's no such thing as a pimple on your
pimple on
lips.
your lip. If you get a pimple on your lip, well, you better call your doctor. But yeah, like right here or right here, and this one sucks because I don't. First of all, these patches don't work. I guess
No.
all they do is just cover it for the world not to see
Yeah.
because they don't get rid of them. This is going on day 3 with this effing thing on my face.
Here's the
And
thing
it's
I
still
will say.
there.
I'm team like Love Island with this stuff. Do you ever watch Love Island?
Hannah, don't ask me some dumb shit like that. You know damn well I do not.
Okay, fine. Well, you're missing out. But here's what they do when they all get pimples. They put like their pimple patches are stars. They just own it. New generation,
Yeah.
man. I love it so much. They're just like, here it is. And I'm going to put a star. I'm going to make it beautiful. My skin is going through something and I got it.
Well, it's smart because it's like you're gonna be if somebody has a pimple on like a obvious noticeable pimple on their forehead or somewhere, you're gonna look at it. It's not gonna bother you, but you're gonna
Right.
look at it.
I'm telling you, this one is like, it's a big guy.
But yeah, but if you put a star on it, people are gonna look. It's like you're gonna look anyway, so you may as well look at a star.
That's right. That's what I'm saying. Put a gold star on that.
Some
Bah.
diamonds on it.
That's what I'm saying.
Some diamond
I will
pimple
say,
patches.
I know everybody's been really worried about my mess around sweater that I spilled on last week. So it's back. I'm wearing it right now.
Me too.
Bop, bop, bop.
I'm wearing mine too.
All right, you guys, it is the mess around, and this is by far one of the most talked about episodes ever. It is called Micro. It's called Micro. Y'all know it. If you're listening to this podcast, I know you know it. I know you don't even have to rewatch it to know it.
If you're listening to this podcast, this particular episode, you know the episode, but you also may know the issue. That the issue may be something that you've personally dealt with in your life, which I think not a lot of people have. But yeah, it's called micro because of, micro penis.
The micro
Sis.
P.
Peanut.
All right, should we run it down?
Let's run it down. After discovering that the guy she's talking to has a micro penis, Jess makes a bet with Nick that she can stay in the relationship for over a month to prove she isn't shallow. Meanwhile, Winston and CECE trick Schmidt and Coach into competing for a modeling gig. It's a classic Winston and CECE mess around.
That's not a thing.
So she says. We'll be right back. And we are back.
This is honestly one of the funniest written episodes ever. By, of course, the great Josh Malmuth.
Yes. Beep, beep, beep. Josh Malmuth, directed by Jay Chandrasekhar. He is a fantastic
Fantastic director.
Fantastic.
Human person.
Oh,
He was a
Broken
great director
Lizard.
to work with. He's like so, you know what it is? He still has like the joy. There's zero things that are jaded about Jay when he was on set. Like he was just like so happy. He thought the bits were so funny. You can see in that cold open when they're doing like the boobs. What does David say? Like, I like those boobies. Like when they're doing the boobs whole conversation, you can just feel Jay just being like happy to let it go. Like just run with it, guys.
Yeah.
Get weird with it. Because there's so much in a group shot. Because he's just like loving that energy. Jay.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
we
because
love you.
I imagine because he's still a performer. He still acts.
Yeah.
So that's why, when you're an actor and you see the bits, it's almost like he wants to jump in and play himself. I'm shocked we never had him. I'm shocked he was never in an episode.
Yeah, that's true. That was a miss.
Yeah.
Oh,
Complete
New
miss.
Girl, what a miss.
Complete miss. Gonna use this guy for off camera only.
They should have cast him. I guess maybe the only role available if he wanted to act and direct was to be the micro P guy. And he's like, you know what? Jay was like, you know what?
He's like, nah, I don't need that reputation.
I'm good. That's okay.
No, he's directed a bunch of these episodes though.
Yeah, he did a few, right?
Yeah. Anyway, we're at this bar.
Anyway.
We're at this bar, Hannah. What's going on at this bar? The guys are just talking about boobies, as men do, right?
I think what's so great and funny and weird about this cold open is that they're saying all the quiet parts out loud.
Yeah.
Like, I do think, right? Attraction is a part of picking your partner, not a friend, but like a partner. And so attraction is you're going to have things that you're more drawn to or less drawn to. And so that conversation about being shallow or not, I think is super interesting. But usually you're not openly at the bar being like, I like those boobies. Those are great boobies. That's not going to resonate well with the person that also wants to have an emotional connection as well as a physical connection.
First of all, guys don't do this. You know what? You know who I have some friends who are in their 60s, late 50s, 60s. And when they're trying to be cool and they're hanging out, they start speaking this way because they think that this is how the other guys talk. And you got to constantly like correct them and go, bro, you good? Like if a woman walks by, look at the rack on that chick. And you're like, what? You know, we never did that. That was a TV thing. That was like a movies and TV stereotype about what you don't have to say that out loud. Like, it
is a crazy thing. Also, I knew you were going to say the word rack. The rack conversation is also crazy. To call it a rack. Of what?
I was trying to be gentle for what the words...
for what they were really saying.
What they were really saying.
Yeah, no one's out here talking like that. And if they are, it's very like 40-year-old virgin. I'm just like, oh, you've never seen like breasts, like you've never actually seen them with your own eyeballs, like real human breasts.
Right.
Cool. Good to know. I learned so much about you. So Jess is on a whole tip because she's just like, I'm not shallow. I don't sit there and pick my partner just based on what they look like. And then she kind of challenges Nick and she's like, would you have ruled me out for my boobs? And he's like, no, because they're perfect. But the knee,
the wonky knee.
And then when they cut to you guys all getting so close to it is so funny to me.
Oh my God. You know what I hated about this moment?
What?
That they would, it was in a script. It was scripted, so I said it. And it's a funny bit. Where I go, you're at 8, you're at 8.5, and I'm a sweet, sweet 6. I have sons of bitches. I'll have that same year. I want to say it was that same year. Maybe it was a year later. Who knows? Cosmo magazine called me one of the hottest TV actors of all time, and I was number 30. You know who was 31? George Clooney. I didn't see Max on that list. I didn't see Damon on that list. So while the writers are saying that they're 8, 8.5, and I'm a 6, I got news for you. Fuck you. Anyway. That's what I got to say about it.
Here's the part that made me laugh the most is that you give these compliments, then you do something that's self-deprecating and you say a 6, which is obviously not true. And nobody challenges it. It's the funniest part. Nobody goes, come on, man. At least a 7.
Nope.
Nothing.
Nope.
That's where they did you dirty. That everyone went, that checks out.
That's what they did me dirty. And you know what? I'm okay with it. I'm okay, Hannah. I'm always okay with it because I'm not sure who's laughing now, but
this is true.
Oh, I mean,
and we know that they give the Emmys to the most attractive actor that year. That's how you win.
That's how you know.
Who's the hottest guy that year? And then they go like, here's a nice award.
Hey, you know what I'm saying? To Josh Malmuth, where yours at?
Doesn't he have one? Am I wrong?
Probably.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so hold on a second, because Alan Richson, very good looking man. jumps it. I'm looking up right now all the stuff he has done.
Yeah, Reacher. Are you kidding me?
Is he the star in Reacher?
Yeah,
Is he Reacher?
he's a Reacher.
He's Mr. Reacher?
Yeah,
What? Alan?
the dude is a beast. The dude is a
Yeah.
mega star.
He was on American Idol.
Doing what?
Like Paula singing.
No, he wasn't.
His appearance on the show was noted for his striptease in one episode in which he charmed Judge Paula Abdul during his audition. This is American Idol. He was one of the top 87 contestants in the third season, but was cut before the Hollywood round.
Which is so crazy. That must have been before, was it Blue Mountain State he was on?
Mm.
And some other shows, I think. Because that was before New Girl 2.
Yeah.
Must have been before then. But he's done a bunch of movies, like really cool movies. And
Yeah, he's done a
The
ton
Gentleman?
of stuff.
The Gentleman, was that a movie?
I
That he
don't
just did?
know. Alan, what
With,
a
with-
career
with-
you've had.
Yeah, with Asa Gonzalez and Henry Cavill.
Oh.
Yeah, I think it was a Guy Ritchie thing.
He
But
just joined the cast of Fast X. I don't know.
Yeah, he's been in
Alan.
Fast and the Furious. Yeah, he was
Oh.
he's in Fast.
He looks
Fast
that
Furious.
way. Like when they cut across and she's like sitting in the booth and she's like, oh my God, my friends are the worst. I'm just going to sit here because they're so shallow and they whatever. And then she looks up and then she like forgets how to just speak words.
Yeah.
He just has that whole Hemsworth like vibe with the toque and the thing and the brooding. And she's just
Yeah.
hello. I
I
that
know
thing
the
that Zoe
feeling.
does where she's like, just needs a second
Yeah.
to get the words out is my favorite.
Look, I know the feeling. Women, when they see me, it's very similar. Very, very similar. Very similar.
Yeah, sure. Just
Yeah.
don't know how to talk.
Yeah, exactly.
I will say it was a wild thing, and I thought it was a really strong choice for the episode that he says it out the gate, where he's just like,
Yeah.
I just want you to know, full disclosure,
hmm
I have a very, 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 very tiny penis.
God, you know what? I blame. I blame the parents. I blame the parents for not like, because you could nip that in the bud. Like when they're young, you should know, like, okay, this ain't
Oh.
right, and you got to do something about it. Then
See what my
Well,
brain went to? You know what I thought you were talking about?
what?
When you said I blame the parents, I thought you meant like, two people that have the same kind of issue shouldn't like breed and have that child.
So
to get the
two people have
husband
very
to-
small
to-
penises.
And to get the wife's like dad to be like, let's cross-reference these penises to make sure.
Oh, because the wife's dad has a micro, and the dad has a micro. The baby gonna come out with a micro. Yeah, no, but there's like things you can do to stimulate the pituitary gland. There's got to be an issue with the pituitary gland that's stopping the process of natural human growth hormone, because that is crazy. It's crazy that
Mm.
he is that big, which means his body got big, but the one thing didn't.
The
That's
one
correct.
thing just
That's
stayed
crazy.
tiny. But he owns
Yeah.
it. He's like, okay, this is what it is. And he is so good looking that it
I know,
obviously
yeah.
has not been an issue.
We all can be blessed with both. You know what I'm saying?
So
Um,
then they're going to go on a date,
Mm-hmm.
and she does this bet,
Yes.
right?
She does the bet with
Nick.
Nick.
That
Yep.
she's going to stay in this relationship for like a month. No big deal. Because she's not shallow.
Right.
And she's very excited about it. She thinks it's going to be no issue. It's totally fine. Because, spoiler alert, she does not know that he, as a human being, is the worst.
Absolute worst. You
And
know.
he plays it, by the way, so perfectly because I got the ick so badly from him the entire time. I was so grossed out by what is, on the surface, a very good looking person. And I was just like watching it. I was like, ugh, which means he's a great actor.
Great
There you go,
actor.
Alan.
Now,
I was
Now, let's talk
disgusted
about-
by you.
but let's talk about the bet wages. What's on the line here? Because if Nick loses, he has to donate $500 to the National Organization for Women's Love Your Body campaign.
Mm.
And if Nick wins, Jess will buy him a subscription to Ass Chat. But do you remember the names? Some of the names that we were throwing out when he was like, which site?
Nubian, nubile.
Big Black Nubian Butts.
These were all improvised.
All improvised. I never went back and looked it up. It's off that any of these names were real if they existed, but I'm sure they
if
do.
they did. They got like,
Yeah.
free promo
I
for
know.
sure.
Matt is a street artist. He paints on walls.
What did you
This
say?
is
Like a
so-
rat with a backpack or something? That's what I see when I see
Yeah.
the wall. I was just like, oh no. Oh yeah, the boys sit around and they're staring at a micro penis, and then they all describe what the micro penis looks like a lone tent in a very vast forest.
Forrest. Oh my gosh. Schmidt says if he could, he would give him some of his penis, but you don't pull a bumper off of a Ferrari.
Out of control.
Out of control.
Oh yeah, Schmidt and Coach are at the bar and they're just complimenting each other because now they feel really good about themselves that they've seen a micro penis. And so they're complimenting and Winston and CeCe are getting annoyed at the situation
100%.
and realize, how can we mess with these idiots and make them make
Yes.
fools of themselves?
Yes. Is this the moment in which we describe what's about to happen between us? Or no, that's not it. We'll get into that a little bit later. But let's go to a quick commercial break, and when we come back, there's a section that I want to bring up, but I'm not going to bring it up because it's useless. But and then we're going to move on. Okay. And we are back.
We're back, and Jess has learned that this guy is the absolute worst person in the entire world, and she needs out of the bet. And she says it's not because of the micro, which, by the way, she's telling the truth. She hasn't even seen or dealt with it in any situation. She just can't even be around this person for 5 minutes. She's just so deeply ickified.
Yes.
But of course, the math does not math to Nick. So he's like, nah, you made that bet. You gotta stay in the bet.
You got to. So Jess is like, listen, man, I'm going to be out of town for the next month. He says, for truth?
For truth.
For truth. This is so stupid. For truth? You know, that's like Belizeans, sometimes when they say like, if that's the truth, they say it. Sometimes they'll say like, for true. That's for true. That's what I thought they were doing here.
You know,
For
the
truth?
Italians do that too. È vero.
È vero.
Mhm.
That's not the same thing.
It is.
What does
It's
that
true.
mean?
It's the same
It's
thing.
true. No,
Yeah.
for true. For true is different than it's true. It's true is normal. It's true is
true.
proper. If it's true.
This thing, I'm being trapped in a bed to have to hang out with that guy was giving me such anxiety. I will say I loved watching Jake so much around Alan
Mm-hmm.
because, aka Matt in the episode, because you could see how much Jake loved it. There's nothing more he loved than like a broing out, you know? And he was just soaking in how this guy was like playing the character.
Yeah.
He was so happy. You could just see his happy little Jake face. And so then basically Jess is just like, she can't do it. She's going to tell the truth. She's going to own up to it. And she's going to go to his loft. Right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And she's just going to say, it's not your micro penis. It's your whole personality.
Yes. 100%.
She goes to his
100.
art studio.
Yes.
And she then does her whole big speech on it, which kind of breaks him. And then he's vulnerable. And then he explains that he has a bad personality, though, because of his insecurities around the micro penis.
Yes.
And then just as she starts to then get vulnerable, she then starts to show her wonky knee. So she takes her pants down
Pants
to
on.
show it.
Yeah, which is so TV.
So
It's such
TV that she takes her pants down to show the knee. And then out of that super famous John Bon Jovi music video, Bed of Roses, I think it was, or I Will Always Love You, or one of those, not I Will Always Love You. John Bon Jovi, what's that video? Do you remember? Where like they're in the big art loft and then the girlfriend sees on the camera that he's cheating? It's like
What? John Bon Jovi got caught cheating on camera?
it was a real Shaggy moment. I just butchered it.
Shaggy was there?
Real ones know what I'm talking about. I got too excited.
Shaggy and Bon Jovi did a song
Shaggy
together?
Bon Jovi.
Did a
Yes.
song together with Zoe Deschanel? Was Pants Down?
This is the worst game of telephone I've ever played, and it's just two of us.
It gets back to John Bon Jovi and Shaggy were sleeping together while Zoe watched on camera.
Oh my God.
Oh
Ass
my
chat.
gosh. Good old ass chat.
Good
That's
old
right. Now-
ass chat.
Here
So
we are.
she's telling the truth, right?
Yeah, she's telling the truth.
And then we
But-
cut back to the loft.
Yes, we cut back to the loft. Now, Winston and CeCe, they are. I remember this moment. I remember this day, based off of the Canadian tuxedo that I was wearing,
Right.
and I forget there was a different haircut that I remember that day. I was like, interesting, because there's a famous, not famous photo, it's famous for me because I see it all the time, of me holding the camera, and it used to be like a GIF, like a meme. It was me holding the camera. And I was like watching it going, oh, I remember this. This is that moment. What I didn't remember was this was the beginning of our classic CeCe and Winston mess around.
It's not a thing.
Exactly. And that's what I found to be interesting about it. We have a whole podcast called The Mess Around now. And at the time, CeCe didn't want it to be a thing.
I'm telling you, Winnie the Bish manifested something in real life.
Yeah.
A fake character was just like, it's a thing. And you will do it forever. And I was just like, what's happening?
She's like, even after the show is over?
Yeah, even after you are no longer cease to exist. Yes. I'm wearing the shirt. Good God. Yeah, it's a really funny thing to the fact that he says
I love the fact
it's
that
a
you wear
thing.
the shirt, but you cover it every time, by the way.
I can't help it. I've got long Indian hair.
It can't go behind your head?
This looks very weird to do it like Pippi Longstocking.
No, you put it behind your head.
But then it looks weird. Look, watch how.
Does it look weird? How does that look weird?
I don't know. I just feel like I look like I've got no hair. No? I don't know how to do it. Just this shirt is so cute. I
Just
get
put one-
soft all
put-
the
put one
time
in
with
the
this
front.
shirt, by the way. And it's so like cozy and soft inside. It's like my sweater I put on like in the evening and just like cozy up in.
So you wear it to cozy up, and you get stopped when you wear it on the street, and you
Yes.
wear it on the podcast. Hannah, we need to get you some new clothes.
I love this sweater. It's my favorite. The thing that makes me laugh too is that Coach also is like, oh, when he finally catches them out, he's like, oh, is this a classic CeCe and Winston mess around? And
Yeah.
he's like, yes. And she's like,
Like,
no,
it's not a thing. It's not a thing. Not
all
a
the
thing
way
at
in
all.
season 4 is when this like they let us start to play around and be weird. I remember you and I though off camera, and then they let us go because then they were kind of pushing in for the shot. But I think we hung out to watch it because it was so ridiculous
Mhm.
to watch Damon and Max do this photo shoot,
Yes.
and then who was going to get to be the top or the bottom
the bottom.
in
yes.
the piggyback.
I've been around both of these guys enough to know that Max is the bottom in that relationship. He definitely is. He definitely is.
I remember laughing so much on set because it was very rare that I would be just with, a group of the boys and just get to hang out and do like weird physical comedy or like watch it or be part of that scene. That's not where they usually put CeCe. And it was the most fun day.
Yeah, that was
They
fun.
were
That was-
so extra because that was also genuine. That how it ends up with Damon on top and Max on the bottom was not, they truly did battle.
Yeah.
They truly were wrestling. And who would
Get
do
on my
the
back. Get on my back.
piggyback. That was real.
Get on my back. Get on my back. Get on my back. That was
So funny. Also, just letting them kind of run with this stupid little bit of who's so good looking and really thinking that they can break their friendship. And then it kind of turns back on CeCe and Winnie.
Oh, yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. You're going to see, so CeCe's going to pass these on to her agency.
That's what she's saying she's going to do. There was
Just-
no
yeah.
intention. She just wanted to make them look dumb. And then she thought when they were like, oh, but we can only send one, that they would then start fighting and the whole thing would explode. But then like the truth of like how much they love each other and their friendship comes out and it becomes this big bonding sweet moment. And they're
Yes.
just like, oh, this is not,
Yeah.
this feels bad.
Coach says he's more runway while Schmidt is more high fashion. It's so stupid.
No.
Oh my gosh.
It's very sweet.
Now we're back with Nick and Jess.
we're back in Nicodem. So it all went side. Oh no, but we missed the big part. So the big part that happens at the loft is she shows the knee. Then I got caught up with Bon Jovi. And then the girlfriend comes in and she's just like, what are you doing with your pants off? What's happening? And she storms off and she's like, why aren't you running after your girlfriend? And then she goes, you probably don't even have a micro penis. You're just like a liar and a horrible person and everything about you is horrible. And then he shows it.
Yeah. And apparently.
And the length of time that Jay, our director, gives Zoe to.
That's what he pulled out right there. He pulled out one of them right there. He pulled out one of them Tylenol 500s.
The funniest is when she leaves and she says something just like, take care of that little guy. Like she's like, she's like, it's just so tiny and it needs help and support and lots of love. Not for me, but goodbye.
Man, he got to go to Germany and get like a reconstructed one. You know what I'm saying?
Something. Don't you go to Turkey for things like that?
Turkey for your they do the hair stuff in Turkey. They do the penile stuff in Germany.
Really?
I don't know. I just figured Germans are great with engineering. So if you have a micro penis, you need something engineered.
Buildings, Volkswagens, penises. We say penis a lot on this show, I realize.
Yeah, that's when you know like some of the writers may have been like deprived.
What do you guys talk about in the writer's room? Just penis size, boob size.
Well, they're there all day. They don't have time. They don't have time to go out and like find it in the wild. You know what I'm saying? They got to write about it. This is all their fan fiction. Now where are we?
Yeah, she says take care of that little rugrat.
Yeah.
Oh my god. So funny. Yeah, then Jess is just like, listen, forget it. Here you go. Like, I'll log you into Ass Chat and pay for the kitty cam and all the other bonus features. And
kitty cam.
I know. What is that? I don't want to know. And then it's that she kind of like has that moment of like, I'm no better than you guys. I guess I'm shallow too. I couldn't do it. And then they have a really big come to Jesus moment as a loft, right? Where she starts to realize like, wow, we all have our thing. We all have our micro P. We all have that thing. Is that what they call it? We all have that MP. Weird thing that we just aren't that proud of. And then they all kind of start to go around and talk about each other's little micro P moments, which is really weird and strange and very funny.
Yes.
And then CeCe and Winston caught in a mess around gone very wrong.
Yes.
Have to pay $1,800, like $12 or something to put a billboard up in Koreatown. That's
right. Because what happens was that, Coach sees that CeCe and Winston are screwing around. And he knows this is a fake thing. And he's like, this will kill him. This will crush him. You need to fix this. And so they agree that they're going to give him this thing. It's going to happen. And then when we cut to that moment, and we see this massive billboard. I remember this day. I remember being out there. And
we went to Koreatown.
Yeah, we were actually there in Koreatown. Now, what I can't quite remember, I remember going around and doing the scene. I remember that specifically. What I can't quite remember was that picture. I think the picture was actually up there. Wasn't it? Or was it a green screen?
No, it was actually up there.
Okay.
And I feel like it stayed.
I just remember people looking. No, I don't know. I didn't go back and check.
I feel like someone sent a picture and they were like, it was still there. That's an Erin O'Malley question. She would know. Like, I feel like it stayed for a minute because they really put the billboard up.
Yeah, they were like, they paid for it.
Yeah, that's right.
They paid for that spot for a second. And they kept it up probably for a month. That would have been funny if it were up there for a month.
I feel like it was up there for a while. There's a really nice bow on the end of this episode because Jess says the bank canceled her credit card, which canceled the porn subscription. And he's like, yeah, it was kind of ruined anyway, knowing that you were paying for it. I kind of lost the mojo on it. And then Coach does a little extra extortion on CeCe and Winnie.
Yep.
Where he talks about the fee that Schmidt's going to get paid, which of course leads to one of the most memorable tags of all time. He's standing alone, Schmidt, in front of his billboard. out in Koreatown and just goes,
millionaire. Let me tell you something. I think when my first billboard ever went up, in fact, I remember this. When I saw my very first billboard, it was for a show called Brain Rush on Cartoon Network. And when I say far from a millionaire, I think I'm not joking. I think by the time that billboard went up, I may have had like $600 in my account, maybe less than that. So when you have a billboard up, it doesn't mean anything, you
it
guys.
doesn't mean anything. I remember my first billboard that ever went up, and it was right at the corner of Sunset and like Fairfax kind of area, or like one block over. You know, that gas station's on the corner, then you'd continue up to go in the hills.
Yeah.
And it was for Ultimate Gamer, my first job I ever got in the States. And they had partnered with like a gaming eyewear company. And so they had put the billboard up. I got paid $0. And that billboard was up. And like everybody does if they ever get a billboard, I went there with my friends and we like took a picture like in front of the billboard. It was such a big deal. But yeah, $0. But it did feel like a big moment. But I also did in my body go like, this is the beginning.
Well,
it's
there
happening.
you go.
My face is up here. And then nothing happened for a very long time. And when it did happen, it had nothing to do with the billboard.
Nothing to do with it. Man, I don't think millionaire wasn't until the New Girl billboards went up.
Then you had to have a bunch of people on those billboards with you.
Yeah, I know. Millionaires. No.
Maybe that's the key.
That's
all
the
right,
key.
when we come back, y'all, we're going to mess around.
After these messages, we'll be right back. Yeah. And we are back.
You know what's funny? You just did that. After these messages, we'll be right back. I was thinking about like, man, the jingle writers in like the 80s and 90s were crazy because I can remember those jingles. Like, do you remember the Juicy Fruit one?
How's it go?
Juicy fruit is gonna move ya. Da, 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 da. Juicy fruit, that taste, that's gonna move ya.
Oh, I think I remember. I either remember that or that was the Canadian version. And I don't remember.
Maple syrup. So it was maple syrup.
That's probably what it was. Yeah, I remember all the jingles from back then. You know, buy men in.
Yeah,
Fun
it's
fact,
really
that's
weird.
That's the world's shortest jingle.
Wow.
Yeah,
worth it.
And that's it.
Done. In there.
So Hannah, let's do the thing that you didn't want to do in the beginning. Let's mess around, shall we?
Let's go. Here's my question. Here's my mess around question. Okay. I just realized this is going to get me into trouble asking this question. Do you think, as a man that has met several women in his life, and knows other men who has met several women in their life, do you think the preference would be too small or way too big?
Well, way too big is the preference.
No.
Either one, you can't use them.
You're incorrect.
No. It's got to be way too big. because here's the thing, you're saying way too small.
Yeah,
way
a micro
too,
or a
micro.
macro.
A micro, no one can use that. Like no woman is going to be like, I mean, who, you never know. But there is a strange world out there where women like way too big. Just go to Ask Chat. Go to Ask Chat, and it'll tell you there's some women that would really enjoy a way too big scenario. And even here's the thing about the way too big scenario. You can make a lot of money that way.
This is true. I'm just saying if
you can at least have a living. You can make a living.
That's true. For a man, I would think probably they would rather go way too big than way too small. But I'm saying from a female perspective, one is like a weapon then.
Yeah, one is a weapon, but I think there is a world in which no one could use the way too small one.
That's
no one.
Well, no, you know what I mean? It's almost like on the fringe, there's always people that they'll be like, that's my thing. The way too small, the way too big.
But are you more likely to find someone who's like prefers it way too small, where they get no enjoyment out of it, or would you or with likelihood would you find a rare group of women that can that enjoy a really obnoxiously big
You know
one?
what I'm realizing this is? This is really just a Cinderella conversation. This is just really there's the right foot that will fit into the right shoe for
Shoe.
everybody,
Yeah.
and the way too big and the way too small is will find their people.
They
And
will.
Jess was not the person for Matt.
Yeah.
It was a
no.
bad fit, you guys. Bad fit. It all comes back to a Disney movie. Doesn't that feel
Yeah.
right when we're talking about penises?
Yeah. Especially because Nick Miller has a hog.
The word hog is right in the same bucket as rack for me.
Rack,
No
hogs.
racks and hogs, you guys.
You get a nice rack of hog there. Barbecue time. Oh boy. Okay, so that was your question.
That was my question. Yeah.
My question is less perverted.
Okay.
A billboard prank is such a good idea. Who would you billboard prank?
Ooh. I feel like you're going to probably make me cut this from the podcast, but I feel like you and Kyle would billboard prank the Here to Help podcast.
We probably would. We probably would. I think that would be a good one to prank. But I feel like I would want to prank someone that I don't really know, but I know they're going to see it.
Oh.
Like a straight up, just like false. I don't know, something like, how you drive down Sunset, and on one side of the street it'll have like a Netflix billboard that'll say, Mikey Madison is a star, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Whenever they're promoting a new
sure.
Netflix movie,
Sure.
if you drive down, I would do that. I would have that same type of billboard, and then I would have something where it says like, Zoe Kravitz called Lamorne Morris yesterday. He did not pick up. He will not return her phone calls. What should she do? And then just like leave it up there, and people will be like, really? And at some point, it's going to come across her desk. I feel like she doesn't have a desk, but it's going to come across, like one of her minions.
You should
and then
text her this idea now that you have her number and be like, hey, man, what do you think of this bit?
I'm going to put a billboard up. I'm going to prank you. Are you cool with it?
I'm going to prank you. But I also would like to keep your respect and love. So will this not change our relationship? Please let me know. I'm not in fear of all at all.
Will this throw you and Austin Butler off?
Please tell me the truth. You know what? Actually, a billboard prank, I feel like is a great thing to do, but from like a nice prank way. Like imagine you put one up for your mom. Best mom, her with like a big trophy next to her. Right? Or your daughter. Like that would be so great. To do like a sweet prank as like a birthday thing, just driving around Sunset and then you see the thing.
That would be nice. That would be something. I'd probably do something like that. Yeah. Or I'd prank,
more do that than
you know what I've done before though? I was on live and there's thousands of people looking at it, and I gave out a friend's phone number. But I said to all the people I said, I have a friend who and this is, you can ask him, his name is Dom. I told all my followers to send him dick pics.
Oh, I remember this.
And he was at home. He had no idea I was on live. And I put his number. I don't know why I did that. I still to this day, I'm like, why would I do that to somebody? He calls me up randomly, blowing my phone up. He's like, dude, what what's going on? I was like, what do you mean? He's like, dude, I'm sitting down here with my girl. And all of a sudden my phone starts blowing up, and I'm looking down, and it's just dudes' dicks.
Oh my God.
And he wrote back to somebody who's like, yo, what the fuck? Why is everybody sending me this shit? And they were like, oh, Lamorne said to do it. I was like, oh God.
I'm surprised he didn't pull up at your house and be like, hello, sir.
He was pretty pissed off, and rightfully so. I don't know why I did that. That was stupid.
I will say, you seem remorseful. I will say, I have never received a dick pic in my life.
Hannah?
That's not true. In the DMs, there has been a million, but I've never seen them. There you go. But in the DMs,
but how do you know how do you know?
Because sorry to say, but the men who send the dick pics are really stupid humans. And so they'll say like, I hope you like looking at my whatever. And then it says blurred, right? So I've never seen it. I'm not going to look. I don't want to see your pitiful situation. It's so gross.
You
So
never know.
that way it's been sent, but I've never seen them
Yeah. Well, there you go. There you go.
because they're
Yeah.
so happy and proud that they think someone wants to look at it. So they tell you what travesty they've just sent you, and then you're like, "Well,
Yeah, you can't get caught sending those things out. Fellas, stop doing that.
stop doing that."
Unless she's
Nobody wants
asking you
it.
for it. Unless she's saying, "Hey,
That's
can you please
different.
send me?" Then you're all right.
Consenting adults, I'm so happy
You gotta
for
give her
you.
what she wants. But yeah, that's not. Anyway, that's our show.
That's our show. Thanks for listening. Be sure to follow us on IG at the Mess Around Pod. And man, Alan, you crushed this episode.
Yes,
And,
indeed, bro.
Yeah,
Yes,
I'm so
indeed.
happy you came on and got really weird. And so broy because it's a classic, man. It's a classic micro.
Yep, and I hope they didn't cast him based off of that.
What a way to end the episode. Alan.
Peace.
That was The Mess Around, an iHeartMedia production.
Our executive producer is Joel Monique. Our senior producer is Abu Zafar. Bei Wang provided engineering and editing services.
Additional production from Daniel Goodman, Wendy Heisler, and Kyle Chevron. Our theme song was written and composed by Ronald Jukebox Jackson.
Catch you next time.
Bye.